Options to address knob and tube wiring include firstly, complete rewiring. This is the most comprehensive and safest option. It involves replacing all knob and tube wiring with modern wiring, for example, an MB or NC cable, as referenced in NEC 394.20. The pros of this approach include eliminating all potential hazards associated with knob and tube wiring, such as electrical fires and shocks. The cons include significant cost and disruption to the home. Secondly, retrofit with GFCI protection. This involves installing GFCI, ground fault circuit interrupter receptacles and circuit breakers on all circuits that use knob and tube wiring, as referenced in NEC 394.22a. The pros of this approach include protection against electrical shocks, but does not address other hazards such as overloads and fires. The cons include it does not completely eliminate the risk of electrical problems and may require extensive modification to the electrical system. Thirdly, a hybrid approach. This is combining complete rewiring in areas where it is feasible, for example, the basement or crawl space, with GFCI protection in inaccessible areas, for example, the attic as referenced in NEC 394.20 and 394.22a. The pros of this approach include addressing both safety concerns and cost considerations. The cons include it may still leave some areas with knob and tube wiring, and may not be viable in all situations. For a home you plan on living in, the most prudent option is to completely rewire. This will provide the highest level of safety and peace of mind. While the cost may be significant, it is an investment in the safety and family and the value of your home. The steps to take: firstly, contact the AHA, notify the local authority having jurisdiction about your plans. They may have specific requirements or recommendations. Secondly, get a professional inspection. Have a qualified electrician inspect the entire electrical system, including the knob and tube wiring and the GFCI protection. Thirdly, plan the rewiring. Determine the scope of the rewiring project, including the areas to be rewired and the new wiring to be installed. Fourthly, get permits and hire a contractor. Obtain the necessary permits and hire a licensed electrician to perform the rewiring. Fifthly, supervise the work. Monitor the rewiring project to ensure it is completed according to code and standards. Sixthly, have the system inspected. Once the rewiring is complete, have the electrical system inspected by the AHA to receive a certificate of occupancy. When dealing with the electrical work, always prioritize safety and consult with qualified professionals to ensure compliance with local codes and regulations. Consider the age and condition of the existing wiring, the presence of any modifications or extensions, and the potential for future electrical needs. A thorough assessment will help to determine the most appropriate course of action. If the knob and tube wiring is deteriorated or damaged, rewiring may be necessary to ensure safety and prevent electrical hazards. If the wiring is in good condition, GFCI protection may be an option, but it is important to understand that this does not address all potential hazards. When retrofitting with GFCI protection, install GFCI receptacles in all locations where receptacles are required by code, such as bathrooms, kitchens, and outdoor areas. GFCI protection can also be provided by installing GFCI circuit breakers in the electrical panel. When planning the rewiring project, consider the location of existing outlets, switches, and lighting fixtures. Determine whether additional outlets or fixtures are needed to meet current and future electrical needs. Plan the layout of the new wiring to minimize the length of runs and avoid unnecessary splices. When hiring a licensed electrician, verify their qualifications and experience. Check their references and make sure they are properly insured. Obtain a written contract that outlines the scope of work, the materials to be used, and the payment schedule. During the rewiring project, monitor the work to ensure it is being performed according to code and standards. Ask questions if you have any concerns. Once the rewiring is complete, have the electrical system inspected by the AHA to ensure it meets all applicable codes and regulations. Obtain a certificate of occupancy to verify that the work has been properly completed. Remember that working with electricity can be dangerous. If you are not comfortable performing electrical work yourself, hire a qualified electrician. Always turn off the power to the circuit before working on any electrical components. Use appropriate safety equipment, such as insulated gloves and safety glasses. Follow all applicable codes and regulations. Consider the long-term benefits of rewiring, including increased safety, improved energy efficiency, and enhanced property value. While the initial cost of rewiring may be significant, it can pay for itself over time through reduced energy bills and increased property value. Replacing knob and tube wiring is not just about meeting code requirements, it is about protecting the safety and well-being of the occupants of the home. Take the time to carefully consider your options and make an informed decision. If there is any doubt about the safety of the electrical system, consult with a qualified electrician. It is better to be safe than sorry when it comes to electricity. Consider also the impact of insulation on knob and tube wiring. Adding insulation around knob and tube wiring can trap heat and increase the risk of fire. If you plan to insulate your attic, make sure the knob and tube wiring is properly addressed first. Consult with a qualified electrician to determine the best way to insulate around knob and tube wiring. This may involve removing the knob and tube wiring or providing adequate ventilation to prevent overheating. Ensure proper grounding for all electrical circuits. Grounding provides a path for fault current to flow back to the source, which helps to protect against electrical shock. If the existing electrical system does not have proper grounding, it should be upgraded as part of the rewiring project. Consider the use of arc fault circuit interrupters ASIs in addition to GFCIs. ASIs protect against fires caused by arcing faults, which can occur in damaged or deteriorated wiring. ASIs are required by code in many areas for bedroom circuits and other locations where fire hazards are present. Consider the use of surge protection to protect electronic equipment from power surges. Surge protection can be provided by installing surge protective devices, SPDs, at the electrical panel or at individual outlets. Power surges can damage or destroy electronic equipment, so surge protection is an important safety measure. Be aware of the potential for asbestos in older homes. Asbestos was commonly used in insulation and other building materials prior to the 1980s. If you suspect that asbestos is present in your home, have it tested by a qualified professional. Do not attempt to remove asbestos yourself, as this can release harmful fibers into the air. Consider the impact of the rewiring project on other building systems, such as plumbing and HVAC. Make sure the electrician coordinates with other contractors to avoid damaging these systems. Protect existing finishes and surfaces during the rewiring project. Cover furniture and flooring to prevent damage from dust and debris. Consider the use of temporary power during the rewiring project. This will allow you to continue using essential appliances and equipment while the electrical system is being upgraded. Communicate regularly with the electrician throughout the rewiring project. Ask questions and express any concerns you may have. Obtain a final inspection report from the AHA to document that the work has been properly completed and complies with all applicable codes and regulations. Keep this report for your records. It may be required for insurance purposes or when selling the home. Remember that electrical safety is an ongoing responsibility. Regularly inspect the electrical system for any signs of damage or deterioration. Replace any damaged or worn components promptly. Do not overload electrical circuits or extension cords. Use appliances and equipment according to the manufacturer's instructions. Keep electrical outlets and switches clean and dry. If you have any questions or concerns about electrical safety, consult with a qualified electrician. Be sure the electrician does a load calculation to be sure that the service is adequate for the house with any new appliances, HVAC equipment, etc. The new wiring should be sized according to the load calculation and the requirements of the NEC National Electrical Code. The new wiring should be properly supported and secured to prevent damage. The new wiring should be protected from physical damage where necessary. All electrical boxes should be properly grounded. All splices and connections should be made inside electrical boxes. All electrical boxes should be accessible for inspection and maintenance. All electrical work should be performed by a qualified electrician in accordance with all applicable codes and regulations. After the rewiring is complete, label all circuits in the electrical panel to identify the areas they serve. Create a circuit directory that lists all the circuits and their corresponding loads. This will make it easier to troubleshoot electrical problems in the future. Consider installing energy-efficient lighting and appliances. LED lighting and Energy Star appliances can save energy and reduce electricity bills. When selecting new electrical equipment, choose products that are listed by a recognized testing laboratory, such as UL or ETL. This ensures that the products have been tested and meet safety standards. Install smoke detectors on every level of the home and in every bedroom. Test smoke detectors regularly to ensure they are working properly. Replace smoke detector batteries at least once a year. Install carbon monoxide detectors on every level of the home and near sleeping areas. Test carbon monoxide detectors regularly to ensure they are working properly. Replace carbon monoxide detector batteries at least once a year. Develop an emergency plan in case of an electrical fire or other electrical emergency. Make sure everyone in the family knows what to do in an emergency. Keep a fire extinguisher handy in case of a fire. Know where the main electrical disconnect switch is located and how to turn off the power to the entire house. Consider taking a first aid and CPR course to learn how to respond to electrical shock injuries. Be aware of the dangers of electrical shock. Electrical shock can cause serious injury or death. Do not touch electrical wires or equipment with wet hands. Do not use electrical appliances near water. Do not overload electrical outlets or extension cords. If you experience an electrical shock, seek medical attention immediately. Consider the future needs of the electrical system. Plan for any future additions or renovations that may require additional electrical capacity. Install extra circuits or a larger electrical panel if necessary. Consult with a qualified electrician to determine the best way to meet future electrical needs. Consider the aesthetic aspects of the electrical system. Choose electrical fixtures and devices that complement the style of the home. Conceal wiring and conduit where possible to minimize visual clutter. Pay attention to the details of the electrical installation to create a finished and professional look. Consider the resale value of the home. A well-maintained and updated electrical system can increase the value of the home. Replacing knob and tube wiring can be a selling point for potential buyers. Document all electrical work performed in the home. Keep records of permits, inspections, and contractor invoices. This documentation can be helpful when selling the home. Be aware of the risks of DIY electrical work. Electrical work can be dangerous and should only be performed by qualified professionals. If you are not comfortable performing electrical work yourself, hire a licensed electrician. Even simple electrical tasks, such as replacing a light switch or outlet, can be hazardous if not done properly. It is always best to err on the side of caution and hire a qualified electrician. If you decide to perform DIY electrical work, be sure to follow all applicable codes and regulations. Obtain the necessary permits and have the work inspected by the AHA. Use appropriate safety equipment and take precautions to avoid electrical shock. Consider the environmental impact of the electrical system. Choose energy-efficient products and practices to reduce the carbon footprint. Recycle old electrical equipment and materials whenever possible. Dispose of hazardous materials, such as fluorescent light bulbs, properly. Support sustainable energy practices. Consider the potential for renewable energy sources, such as solar panels or wind turbines. These sources can provide clean and affordable electricity. Consult with a qualified renewable energy contractor to determine the feasibility of installing renewable energy systems in the home. Be aware of the limitations of knob and tube wiring. Knob and tube wiring is an outdated and unsafe wiring method. It is not designed to handle the electrical loads of modern appliances and equipment. It is prone to overheating and can be a fire hazard. If the home still has knob and tube wiring, it should be replaced as soon as possible. Be aware of the signs of overloaded circuits. Overloaded circuits can cause breakers to trip, lights to flicker, and appliances to malfunction. They can also be a fire hazard. If you notice any of these signs, reduce the electrical load in the circuit or have a qualified electrician inspect the wiring. Be aware of the dangers of aluminum wiring. Aluminum wiring was used in some homes in the 1960s and 1970s. It is prone to corrosion and can be a fire hazard. If the home has aluminum wiring, it should be inspected by a qualified electrician and may need to be replaced. Be aware of the risks of ground faults. Ground faults can occur when electrical current leaks from a circuit to ground. They can cause electrical shock and can be a fire hazard. GFCI protection can help to protect against ground faults. Be aware of the dangers of arc faults. Arc faults can occur where electrical current jumps across a gap in a circuit. They can cause fires. SIs can help to protect against arc faults. Consider the benefits of smart home technology. Smart home devices can automate many electrical functions such as lighting, heating, and security. They can also save energy and improve comfort. Consult with a qualified smart home installer to determine the best smart home solutions for the home. Be aware of the security risks of smart home technology. Smart home devices can be vulnerable to hacking. Protect the smart home network with strong passwords and security measures. Keep the software on smart home devices up to date. Be aware of the privacy implications of smart home technology. Smart home devices can collect data about the habits and preferences. Understand the privacy policies of smart home device manufacturers and take steps to protect personal information. Consider the potential for power outages. Power outages can disrupt daily life and can be dangerous for people with medical conditions. Have a plan for dealing with power outages. Have a supply of flashlights, batteries, and non-perishable food. Consider installing a backup generator. Be aware of the dangers of downed power lines. Downed power lines can be extremely dangerous. Stay away from downed power lines and report them to the utility company immediately. Do not attempt to move down power lines. Be aware of the risks of working near power lines. Working near power lines can be extremely dangerous. Maintain a safe distance from power lines when working outdoors. Consult with the utility company before performing any work near power lines. Consider the benefits of preventative maintenance. Preventative maintenance can help to prevent electrical problems and extend the life of the electrical system. Have a qualified electrician inspect the electrical system regularly and perform any necessary repairs or maintenance. Consider the costs of electrical work. Electrical work can be expensive. Obtain multiple quotes from qualified electricians before starting a project. Be sure to understand the scope of work and the materials to be used. Consider the financing options for electrical work. There are a variety of financing options available for electrical work, such as loans, grants, and rebates. Consult with a financial advisor to determine the best financing option.